Hey friends, happy Wednesday, the 26th of April. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I will give you a reflection based on the daily readings. They're linked down below. Click the link, read the readings prayerfully, and I'll say a word. Maybe we want to do a little slow, ponderous, 2-3 times through, especially the Gospel, Lectio Divina, over the course of these days. But read it prayerfully, then turn off the screen, spend some time with God before you move on to other things, all right? We missed yesterday the story of the martyrdom of Saint Stephen. So if you'd like to, on the bishop's website, where it says over on the right-hand side, chapter and verse, you can click those numbers. It'll take you to that selection of the Bible on the bishop's website, and then you can go back a chapter to the end of chapter 7 and read the story of the martyrdom of Saint Stephen. Likewise, with the gospel, if you wanted to, you could click those numbers over on the right-hand side. That would take you to the 6th chapter of John. And then you can kind of scroll up a little bit and read what you what you missed yesterday, what we missed yesterday with the feast of Saint Mark. Yesterday was the martyrdom of Stephen. So today we hear that persecution breaks out against the church in Jerusalem, and the Christian community flees and goes to other places. What's interesting here is that, at least in the Acts of the Apostles, there's no indication of a strong missionary fervor to leave Jerusalem until the little bird is kind of pushed out of the nest, until the church is persecuted. And then the church goes, right? And so we hear today about Philip going to Samaria, but we're going to hear other stories of other missionaries as well who go and share the good news. This is a little bit of the way that we experience the cross and then the resurrection, right? The cross is the persecution here, and the resurrection is the sharing of the good news and others who are coming to faith in Jesus Christ. The fancy term for this is the Paschal mystery, the suffering, dying, and the rising of the Christ. And obviously we did that at Triduum and Lent and Easter and all that stuff. But what we hold is that we live the Paschal mystery in our own lives. So here might be my invitation to you today, is as you read about, the Paschal mystery in the life of the Church of Jerusalem, we might also just sit with the way that the Paschal mystery is part of our own lives. Times that we felt like there was death and dying, and we could not see the path, and then God brought new life, resurrection, abundant life. We live these in small ways over the course of our life in preparation for, physical death and eternity in the providence and the goodness of God. So call to mind a bit of that Paschal mystery and surrender again into God, if you would. The Gospel of John, this is a very repetitive section where Jesus is going to repeatedly say, I am the bread of life, and he's going to kind of circle back and back and back. It can be challenging for us moderns who are always looking for new information. We're like, wait, what's going on? Why does this matter? What's the important thing? We kind of rip through it. What I'd encourage you to do is maybe a little bit of the slower, more methodical prayer/reading style of the monastic communities called Lectio Divina, which is where you might read this slowly. Like you got to keep the foot on the brake of the brain. Really just read it slowly. Then after you've read it, maybe just sit there for a moment in silence, and then read it again slowly. And this time if there's a word or a phrase that jumps out at you, perhaps you might just pause and mull that word or those couple words over in your mind. Then maybe turn in a prayer relationship with God and have a bit of a conversation with God about that. And then kind of pause. See if there's anything that bubbles up inside of you, that still small voice that you need to pay attention to. And then when you're done with that, then maybe you continue and chew on the next word or phrase that jumps out at you. That can be a helpful way of praying a passage that might be really familiar or that seems repetitive. Here's one image that might be helpful to pray with, is the will of God that Jesus would not lose any of those whom God has given to him. Right? That's you. That's me. To imagine yourself like a chick underneath the wings of the hen, or a baby in the hands of an adult. Some of those protective sort of images of safeguarding and keeping safe, and just resting into that image that this is the will of God. And so many of us have that image of God who is angry, vengeful, full of justice, and those tender images of God can go by the wayside. So that might be kind of an image of the will of the Father, that Jesus would not lose any that God has given to him. Those are some of the things that you might want to pray with today. All right? Read those readings prayerfully, maybe that gospel especially, kind of slowly, methodically. Spend some time in silence and prayer before you move on to other things. All right. Happy Wednesday, friends. Be praying for those that are having a hard time. God bless.